For a little town on the banks of the River Loire in France, Amboise is punching well above its weight when it comes to large amounts of history. Don't be fooled by this quaint picture postcard town with its neat little houses, cobbled streets, cafes, and seemingly quiet and typically French existence. For Amboise was once home to the French monarchs and none other than Leonardo da Vinci, who also called Amboise home and is now his final resting place. Amboise is no sleepy French village. Its list of former residents are hand-picked from the who's who of history. It's a town you should visit on your wine tasting tour of Loire. So when you're visiting a town full of chateaux and royal residences, it's only fitting to reside in an equally luxurious hotel. So welcome to Le Choiseul, part of the small luxury hotel group and perfectly positioned at the foot of the royal chateau of Amboise.
It was a private properties, and two of these properties are rassemblés in 1950 to make an hotel. It's one of the best views along the River Loire between Gien and Nantes.
The hotel's restaurant Le 36 is the only fine dining restaurant in Amboise with panoramic views of the Loire River. Outside in the hotel grounds, walkways are lined with lavender and roses, providing a relaxing, perfumed aroma in the gentle breeze. The swimming pool's flanked by ancient-looking cherubs keeping a watchful eye on events, and there's a fabulous alfresco dining area, or the perfect place to sample the region's famous wines in the summer months. As you'd expect from a luxury hotel, the interior design is sophisticated and elegant. The furniture's a modern take on Louis XV pieces, and there's enough aged blends to remind you you're visiting one of France's most famous alcohol-producing regions. There's 32 rooms spread across the 16th and 18th century houses that make up the hotel, all with stylish soft furnishings and views out across the Loire River, the Italian-inspired grounds and Chateau d'Amboise. Perhaps the most unique feature of Le Choiseul are the hotel's private caves, once used to store wheat and grain taxes when the French kings resided in Amboise. There's 3 long parallel corridor-type rooms and 4 spherical chambers split over several floors. There's also 129 stone stairs to climb. Each of the round chambers were built with double walls, rock covered with mortar and a second brick layer to protect the food from damp and humidity. After the French Revolution, the taxes were abolished. Today, the caves have been excavated for tourists to explore, and they're often used for wine tasting events. Of course, this is one of France's most famous wine-producing regions. So once you've quenched your thirst for history, it's time to visit one of the Loire's many vineyards.
We produce a very large range of white wines, from the dry to the off-dry, sweet, and also sparkling wines, with a Chenin Blanc grape also. It's a classic traditional fermentation and maturing in barrels or in vats, but we also use what we call now the traditional method, which is in fact the same as the method champenoise we use for all the sparkling wine we produce here in Vouvray. It's a very old company, founded in 1893 by a man called Ernest Bredif, and he first founded that company to develop the method champenoise at that time. He needed more space, more people to make that new method which came from Champagne in the 19th century. And after that, it is Marc Bredif, who was his nephew, who takes the company after the First War and really develop it, and he lent his name to the company. Now it belongs to Baron Patrick de la Doucette, who is a famous producer of Pouilly Fumé and Sancerre, and I came in 1986 as a winemaker. The caves were dug into the 10th century as quarry. At that time, the wine was not a bottle, it was a drink from the barrels, and we don't need space to storing it. So in the 16th century, they start to use the cave as a cellar for making the wine and for bottling the wine and keep the bottle. We can see the original press from the 16th century.
Much of Amboise' history is linked to Chateau d'Amboise, the former home to the French royal family and arguably the most impressive chateau in the town.
The Chateau of Amboise is a royal one because it was built by the kings of France. They were here at the end of the Middle Ages for about 150 years until the end of the 16th century. And the most important king is the one who built this, Charles VIII, last king of the Middle Ages. 17th and 18th centuries, the chateau was not a royal residence anymore because they were not here, but the chateau was used as a prison, state prison, and the prisoners were in the undergrounds. And then the chateau was owned by the descendants of the kings until 1974. Then it became a museum, of course, and that's why in the chateau we find different periods. End of the Middle Ages, Renaissance time, and 19th century with Louis Philippe. The first time he came here, François of Angoulême was only 4 years old. He grew up here. So when he was king, he came back. And he was here at the beginning of his reign. Then he decided to make the war in Italy. He met Leonardo da Vinci. And he invited Leonardo da Vinci to Amboise because the king was here at this period. That's why Leonardo da Vinci came to Amboise and spent his last 3 years, not in the chateau, another smaller one close to this one, but he spent his last 3 years there. He died there, and he asked to be buried here. They put the tomb in the church, the chateau, but in the 19th century they demolished the church. So they made excavations, found the tomb, and the tomb was transported to the chapel. That's why nowadays Leonardo da Vinci's tomb is in the chapel.
This small but beautifully decorated chapel was built in 1493 for the sovereign's private use. It's now the final resting place of Leonardo da Vinci. The relationship between da Vinci and King Francois I was so strong that a 500-metre-long underground tunnel linked the royal castle with Clos Lucé, Leonardo's private residence. As aperitifs go, Amboise has more than enough to stimulate the hungriest of historical appetites, and dinner at Le Choiseul's 36 is the perfect way to end the day. Head chef Michael Renard provides dinners with a gastronomic feast, arranging plates with local seasonal produce. Michael likes to surprise guests with unconventional arrangements, the results of which are mouth-watering. Here you'll find dishes that respect the seasons and traditional French cuisine, and each plate has an individual flair about it. want to make sure there's room for pudding and, after all that food, a gentle stroll around the Italian-inspired hotel grounds. And of course, a final glass of wine at the end of the day. After all, this is the Loire Valley. The Caribbean is a holiday destination most people have dreamed of visiting at some point in their lives. With its beautiful beaches and tropical climate, the island of Grenada, known also as the Spice Island due to the production and export of nutmeg and mace crops, has long been a favourite retreat for holidaymakers looking for their own piece of paradise. It's an island that's remained relatively unspoilt. You won't see skyscraper hotels lining the waterfront, just traditional Caribbean villas sympathetically built into the landscape and long winding roads that lead high up into the mountains and rainforests. Grenada's long been a favourite destination with the sailing community, as the island's many bays and coves provide a sheltered, natural harbour ideal for mooring up. The capital, St George's, boasts some of the best beaches in the island, where both locals and tourists flock to the 2-mile-long stretch of Grand Anse Beach. But if you're looking for a slice of private paradise, the beach opposite Sugarloaf Island, or more affectionately known locally as Toblerone Island, is the perfect place to hide. Set in 8 acres of private, lush tropical gardens is the Hotel Calabash, with 30 suites arranged in a horse shape around the grounds, each with their own private balcony or patio. Owned and managed by the Garbett family, who bought it in 1987, it's now known as one of the best hotels in Grenada.
We're a 30-bedroom hotel and we've got quite a few unique features. One of them is that we're on a secluded beach, which is quite nice to relaxing in tranquility. We've got quite a large property for only 30 bedrooms, so people do come here for privacy and to really escape. The hotel is on 8 acres and our villas, we've only got 5 villas, are on 27 acres. So we've got a very large property for very few rooms, and that's really on purpose really. We don't want to pack rooms because then it takes away from the atmosphere and takes away from what's really special about Calabash.
The 620-foot pool suites are spacious and light. There's an additional outdoor bathroom and, as you'd expect, your own private pool. Surrounded by high walls for privacy and each uniquely decorated with artwork created by local artists, making these suites a heavenly escape. Luxury holidays are all about pampering and self-indulgence, and at Hotel Calabash every day always begins with room service.
Our unique selling feature is our breakfast. We serve it in suite so that you just sort of get up and you don't have to get dressed and go to a restaurant. You just, you can relax from the moment you get up, and that's the entire idea of Calabash, is that it's really tranquil and relaxing all the way through your holiday. The thing that's really special about Grenada, other than the beautiful beaches and the rainforest, which a lot of islands do have, is the fact that it's really safe here, and it's one of the safest countries that I actually know of. People are more out to help you rather than to cause you any harm at all. People are just generally friendly and really warm, and you feel that from the moment you get here.
Grenada is a very warm and inviting island, and at the heart of its ethos is taking life at a much slower pace. So it's no wonder the island attracts many well-known names, as well as celebrity chefs including Gary Rhodes, all looking to escape their busy lives.
In the early 2000s, and he fell in love with the property, really. My dad and him became quite good friends, and they started doing this guest chef sort of experience where Gary came over and he did a couple of cooking demonstrations. And then the relationship built from there until, you know, Gary was like, I'd really like to put my name to this. And so that's what we did. So that was in about 2004 we launched the restaurant, and it's been doing fabulously ever since. It's our fine dining restaurant, so that's the sort of atmosphere that we try in keeping with, and the food is fantastic and service is great. That's Rhodes Restaurant, really. Food makes you feel good. So that's how we look at things at the Calabash in Grenada. Food is sort of reminds people of home and makes them feel comfortable. So that's why we focus on it so much. Food is really important here. We're the Isle of Spice, so it's very important to make food taste fantastic and use all the natural ingredients that we are very fortunate to have. There's our black gold, which is the nutmeg. We're the second biggest exporter of nutmeg in the world, so that's heavily used within Grenada cooking. Clove, got saffron as well. Seasoning is very, very important to most in Grenada, so we take advantage of that.
Grenada is very mountainous. It's also home to quite a few volcanoes and rainforests, so be prepared. A tropical day in paradise can easily turn into a wet and rainy day within seconds. But if you're willing to risk getting wet, the journey to Grand Etang Lake, a natural water-filled crater of one of Grenada's extinct volcanoes, is worth the effort and potential soaking. The rainforest around the lake is home to a rich diversity of flora and fauna, and as quickly as it started to rain, the clouds will shift and you're submerged back into the Caribbean sunshine. Grenada is blessed with some of the most long, soft, white sandy beaches, and the private beach at the Calabash is small but equally as stunning. It's also a great place to learn to dive as the bay's secluded, so you'll avoid big boats and large groups of divers. There's shallow waters while you're building confidence, then when you're ready to explore the waters around Grenada, the corals and marine life are beautiful. For the more experienced divers, Grenada boasts the Caribbean's biggest shipwreck, the Bianca, known as the Titanic of the Caribbean. But if you're not ready for such an experienced dive, the corals and fish around the Calabash and Grenada's many coves are more than enough to keep you entertained while you develop your dive skills.
Built it in 2009, and we sort of went up to that spot and just went, yeah, something needs to go here. This is just, this view is fantastic. It lends itself to the tranquility of the entire resort. You just sort of feel very at peace up there, and that's how a spa should make you feel. We also thought it was very important not to have a closed-in spa with air conditioning, because you could be anywhere in the world then. We want people to know they're in the Caribbean and in Grenada. That's why we have it open air and, you know, with lovely breeze coming in. We upgrade something every year, and usually it's we take a room category at a time, so they're never more than 4 years old, which we think is very important. We think it's very important to keep upgrading the product that we have. This year we've got a bigger project planned. We're redoing 15 out of our 30 bathrooms, which is a big enough task as it is. But in addition, we're redoing the entire of our pool area, which is going to look really fabulous when it's finished.
When you're visiting an island like Grenada, boat trips are a must, especially a sunset champagne cruise. Sailing along the coastline, it's very easy to see why so many people with boats head for this island, drop anchor and never leave. And if you're a first-time holiday maker to Grenada, be prepared to feel exactly the same.